to be the one to take those out the house. But my daughter is only, 13 now, but she was a little girl, and I can't tell her to get the mice, get the rat. I have to deal with that. So that in itself is just like, it's disgusting. It does something to you mentally. I'm like, what the hell? I have a phobia of rodents anyway. So it was really hard. And then I had to move. Moving was very hard. I had to move from Ward 8 to Ward 7, a total different part of the city in DC. Had to learn new bus routes, new schools in the area. Had to, have new neighbors that I don't even know till now. It's been over 3 years, almost 3 years that I live in my, what is this? This is the relocation place. And I don't have the same, community, or I don't know these people here. I knew everyone in Berry Farms, being there over 20 years. So to have to move here is more, I'm like, it does something mentally because I'm not like mingling with people. So I'm like sheltered in the house more, gaining weight. And then we had the pandemic. So, but all that is just like, that is like a big issue. And I'm just worried about my health and my mental health and my, physical health. I'm like, I don't need to get heart disease or diabetes, from being like basically stressed and depressed. It's not anything more. The city has not done anything more, to make me, to uplift me or put me in a better position. As I know, like a lot of critics have said, like, those people need to go out of Berry Farm. That place is they did this to the place. They blamed the residents in Berry Farms, that we were the ones who had those conditions. We put holes in the wall and put mold in the place and brought rodents there. No, that's not true. We were reporting things and asking for the proper things to get out the rodents, whatever that may be. They would come with pest control, but it was like a joke. It was a little squirt here, and that was it for the pest control. So it wasn't like really tackled, and until we as like residents, and when we like got together and was like shaming the city, and we was finding our own ways to combat rodents and, try to live in these conditions, try to get like people to come fix things or fix things ourselves. So yeah, it's a lot. It still is a lot. I don't know when I'm going to be back to the new property that I'm hoping that is much cleaner there, and that they got rid of the rodents in Berry Farm. But luckily where I am now, so far, not any rats and mice, but still we have roach. So it's not any better is what I'm saying. And it's actually a smaller place I'm in. I was in a house. I'm in an apartment now, and parking is a big issue. We didn't have parking issues. So it's just like a lot of different things that mentally definitely can play on you in this whole, having to move and this everything that's going on with public housing.
Thank you so much, Latrice. And let me just say once again, I mean, I can't say this enough, and I'll say this with every speaker that we hear, is throughout this all, they have stood strong, and they have pushed back, and they have said this is not right, and have been, leaders, straight up leaders in this city for this fight to improve public housing, improve the lives for people living in public housing. So once again, thank you so much, Latrice, for the work that you've done and continue to do, I should say. Let me ask Sean High to talk to us about the same question. How is living in public housing that has not been invested in, that is, and you are currently undergoing a redevelopment of your property through the New Communities Initiative, how has this affected your mental and physical well-being?
It's tremendously stressful. Being the resident council president, working with an entity that doesn't want to communicate with you because you're headstrong and you know what's right, what's fair, and you're working with other entities that they know what's right and what's fair, and you're pushing for your residents' rights, they don't want to adhere to that. It makes it harder for you. It makes it the stress that much more unbearable. And I have to tell you, I get emotional. I'm an advocate for, my senior, I had seniors, I still do have seniors on my property. I advocate for their disabilities, my disabilities. We have mental health. I deal with mental health disabilities. So with all of that, compounding with having to pack up and move, dealing with the lies that DCHA tells, the promises that they make that are just empty, vague, it's a lot. I'm still hearing from residents that have already moved into worse conditions than there were here at Park Morton. And some residents have already been gone a year and now are packing up to move again. It's compounding the stress. I've been here at Park Morton 20 years and I love this place. I've had a love-hate relationship with this place, and I've invested in this place to make it better. And I've lived over in Southwest, Southeast, Northeast, and at no point have I had a connection with the neighbors like I've had here. It's like what the tree said, the neighbors don't reach out. They don't try to connect. Here at Park Morton, we've taken care of each other's children. We've, gotten each other's mail and delivered it to each other and said, hey, I got this piece of mail, this is yours. And now that I've watched my neighbors move out and they've called me back and said, hey, I'm in a worse place than I was at Park Morton, and I've gotten their stories printed in the newspaper, and then housing goes back and attack them for allowing their story to be printed. It just compounds the stress. It compounds the anxiety. It compounds the physical disparities that you go through. So it's a lot when you already don't have the financial means, when you're living on disability already, when you're living on retirement already. We need people investing in more public housing, not tearing it down. We need people investing in small business. Small businesses actually make this society run. Corporate America is tearing it down. And our communities are being torn down with it. And we need people being more receptive and being more understanding to what we are going through under this immense pressure. It is a lot. And I get attacked for being emotional. But those raw emotions are the only way y'all are really gonna understand how much it hurts to be wearing these shoes. Y'all, I am the only one left in my building. I'm holding it down by myself. And there are 2 families left over here, 2 left over there, 1 left over there. 611 is closed. Everybody's gone out of 611. There are 2 families left in 610 Morton Street, 2 families left in 610 Park Road, two left in 620 Park Road, 2 left in 651. They're just tearing us down slowly. 93 families gone from Park Morton. We had 147 of us here. 93 are gone. And I've watched them leave. And it hurts. And I knew every one of my neighbors by name. And most of the children grew up with my child. And some of the younger ones that's growing up with my youngest one, they're gone now too. So all of my baby's friends are gone. So excuse me for being the person that I am, for being connected with my neighbors and loving them. Excuse me for being the fighter, for wanting to keep my family together. So that's where we are at Park Morton. And I'm gonna keep fighting as long as I can.
That's right. Well, thank you so much, Sean. And thank you for the work you do. We were just out there last week, and Sean had successfully gotten keys to open each of the buildings on her property to be able to communicate with her residents. And it was amazing just to see, we're with you, Sean. We're with you, Sean. Tell us what to do, Miss Sean, and asking questions. And that's because there is a real community there. Sean and her neighbors have created real community where they depend on each other, know each other. And that doesn't happen when you have to set up somewhere else. And of course, when there is no real promise of being able to return. So we want to lift up and thank Sean for her leadership and her example. Thank you. And we're going to, right after this round, we are going to ask some questions, of the residents to see how we can possibly move some of this work forward. So thank you once again, Sean. Next, I want to call on Linda Brown, as I mentioned, who is a leader at Greenleaf Gardens, who to me, I've learned so much from Linda in as far as, speaking the truth, like really being analytical and being able to speak that into existence. So Linda, if you would please share with us, once again, how does living in a property that has been disinvested in, and now that's, undergoing or appears to be undergoing, I say appear because with these redevelopments, you don't know, appears to be undergoing a redevelopment, how is that affecting your mental and physical well-being? Is Linda still with us? Oh, yes, she is. There she is.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yep. There you go.
Hi, everyone. I'm Linda Brown, and I live in Greenleaf Senior. I am in Ward 6. And my experience in public housing has been really transformed. I have a daughter who is disabled. And so when we moved into public housing, we lived in 203, right across the way. And so all the things that you've heard about the conditions in public housing, we have faced as well. And so one of the difference is that for me, because I have been advocating on behalf of my daughter, there were certain things, those things were just not acceptable and we were not going to accept them. So we had to enter into another fight of sorts with getting those things done, the repairs done. And then we moved in to Greenleaf Senior building. And it was still, I couldn't believe some of the things that were happening to seniors. And amongst all of these things, we were watching them rebuild around us as if we were invisible. So with that, with the inside repairs needing to happen, all of this traffic with rebuilding was also causing problems for those of us who had children that had medical conditions like asthma. So these trucks were going in and out in the summertime, kicking up and sending our children to the emergency room more often. And so that became a problem. So we have just watched little by little as these authorities in the housing authority just constantly assault on public housing, just constantly relocating, tearing down structures around them. It has just, for me, been just mentally very hard. I mean, I've had to push through this. Kaya is now 28. So just doing this has just been, for 28 years, it weighs on your mental health. And it is a constantly struggle in the morning when you get up to know that you have to make sure behalf of your own home that things like the repairs, staying on them, or just recently I've had to constantly ask them to clean the vents in here, because especially with COVID and we're living where things are airborne and coming through, those vents hasn't been cleaned probably in years. And so they came in here and called themselves cleaning these vents. And now, because they haven't been so clean in so long, they're actually making noise. So after you do one thing, it causes another. So the neglect of these properties is the issue, but the way you're going about treating the residents on these properties and the fact that they had to live in these conditions for so long, and now you're pushing them out and not letting them have the equity that you're trying to put into these communities, and you're not making them inclusive in it. You're talking about this stuff on a surface level. And when we're talking about data, the data that you're talking about, those numbers, those numbers are people. Those are people. We are human beings, and you can't move us around like chess pieces. And that's what you're doing. And so with all of this is that, how can you not be passionate about what you're seeing in your own neighborhoods? You're actually disrupting and dislocating families. And then when you're trying to replace these families, you're trying to place them in places that are like a box, and they can't afford. They have to get rid of their things that they've had for years that is sentimental to them. But you're making them get rid of these things, the only things that they had to hold on to because of the conditions that they've had to live in. And so you want them to do something else. No, you don't want that. You're telling them and you're pushing them to do something else. So in all of this, for me, it is frustrating. I'm angry. And I really, sometimes it really gets me that I have to step back. But I can't, because the people I love, their lives depend on the place being clean and livable. And so all of this is just unacceptable. And so now for me, it's like every day there is something new my neighbors, as my fellow Detrice and Sean was talking about, you're watching them move out. Not only are you watching them move out, but some of them have died in this COVID because of the conditions. So for me, it's no excuse. Really, it isn't. And so how do we continue this fight? It's because it's unacceptable and it's inhumane. And so the people who are standing by need to see that. They can see that it is inhumane, and we won't stop fighting. No, we won't.
That's right. Thank you so much, Linda. As I mentioned, Linda is a fighter, and as you can hear, her analysis is very clear on what's happening. And we're going to get into what our panelists think needs to happen. But I did want to play a video of Ms. Heather Day, who's one of the newest members to EmpowerDC. We've had the pleasure with working with Linda, Sean, and Detrice for years now in their respective struggles and as members of the organization. And Heather recently became a member. She lived at Elvins Road, and you'll hear a little bit about why she's not there anymore. And you'll forgive me, I am not the best at editing video, so there's parts where I will speak that I'll try to just like fast forward through so we can hear her voice. But she gives some very powerful testimony here. So let me just share that 1 second. We'll be right back up.
Okay, my name is Heather Day, and actually public housing, I thought I got away from public housing years ago. DC Housing Authority had a program for first-time home buyers called ABLE, and you had to meet certain requirements, make like $35,000 or more a year and so forth. I got into that program because the whole program is to help you become a homeowner. So they're supposed to assist you with home ownership. So I left public housing, I became a part of that program, and it wasn't what we thought it was. Even now we've had some issues with the program. So now I'm back in public housing. I'm supposed to be a part of the program, but a lot of stuff is not adding up. So it's really affected me tremendously because I was in the program looking forward to becoming a home buyer. And then there were several issues like maintenance neglect, the failure to be able to organize, they kind of interfere with our right to organize, like a tenant kind of association or something like that. But one of my biggest issues was the rodents, and another one of the issues were maintenance. So notice I said I was a part of the program. I'm actually at a public housing location right now. Me and my family, our house caught fire in December of 2020 due to maintenance neglect. So to speak about the effects on it, I mean, mentally, we're just all over the place. So honestly, I feel like just my personal opinion, I feel like DC Housing Authority is trying to do away with public housing. So with my program, even with the house that I was in that caught fire 4 months ago, they haven't started fixing or started doing any repairs because it's undergoing the RAD Melco project. So I feel like a lot of repairs aren't being done because housing already decided that they're going to tear it down, or another lender or another investor is going to take over the property. So it's like, why would we continue to put money into this property if we're going to pass it on to someone else? That's one of my reasons. Another reason I think is because honestly, I feel like someone's stealing money. No one is able to track down any money. There's no accountability. No one can find a ledger, the books, any of the proper information that's needed to, fund some of these repairs. With the program that I was in, we actually paid a portion of our money into a maintenance account. So if we had issues, why couldn't we pull money from that account that we can never get a balance on and have those repairs done? they've already forced us to use someone who was with the DC Housing Authority to do the repairs. They had to be an affiliate and approved by DC Housing Authority. But even when it's time to get repairs done to our house, we can't do it because no one knows where our money is. Another thing is I think they waste too much money on employees who are not trained to properly handle the task. I've had 3 or 4 maintenance people come into my home to take a picture. Oh, I don't know how to do this. Oh, let me get someone else. Oh, let me get someone else. And it goes down the line just for them to half do it. You know, I think a lot of the issues is the fact that DC Housing Authority will rather spend $2 on Monday, $2 on Thursday, $2 on Friday to try to fix this same issue when they could have just spent $5 instead of $6 and fixed it the correct way. So keep patching up the issue and not solving the issue. It's costing DC Housing Authority more money, which means they lose money for other homes that actually, you know, need these repairs.
That's right.
I mean, that's something I explain. I feel as though the DC Housing Authority has no compassion whatsoever for human beings. I mean, even during the time of my fire, which was around Christmas time, you know, me and my family were living in a hotel, and I'm calling or sending emails each week to make sure we're not thrown out of the hotel Tuesday morning. You know, the communication with the Housing Authority is just horrible. And like I explained to them, like you just said, you know, you guys come to work, you clock out, you go home. You don't have these issues. This is my home. These are the issues that me and my family have to deal with. During this time while everyone's out of town and on vacation and doing this, that, and the third, I'm in a hotel with my family with little belongings we have due to the fire. And we're just trying to make the best of our holiday because, you know, of the tragedy. So a lot of times I feel as though they don't have people that care. I mean, when you sign up to take these jobs, your job is to help. Your job is to do whatever your mission is, whatever you were sworn in to do if you were sworn in. I feel like people get in these positions, and if it's not a friend or a family, they don't care about helping you. And, you know, one of the reminders that I have to give them, I'm like, well, I am someone's mother. I am someone's sister. I am someone's family member. I am important as well. You know, because it's not their situation, I feel as though they don't really care. They don't make it personal. They don't care. I would tell them to put your foot down, make people accountable. I'm not a BC Housing fave. It's okay though. My thing is make them accountable. A lot of people are afraid to speak out because they think that they're going to lose their home or things like that. They can't do that. That's considered retaliation. So don't be afraid to speak up for what you believe in. And, you know, reach out to me, reach out to EmpowerDC, reach out to anybody. I mean, we all have resources. We all advocate for one another. We all need help. The thing is, they have gotten away with it for so long and people aren't complaining because they're afraid to lose their home or to be retaliated against, that it's like a push under the rug, or they have something that they hold over people. If you have a balance on your rent, if you have whatever your issue is, don't sit there and suffer. Don't continue to live under these conditions when you don't have to.
That's right.
It's important because, you know, some of these units would not be in the conditions that they are had they did routine maintenance or had they, you know, actually tried to fix the issue when they know what the issue is. I mean, I'm not throwing anyone under the bus, but I've had several maintenance guys say, hey, this is the real problem, but they won't let me fix it. They won't let me install this. They won't let me do that. We don't have it in the budget, or they just don't want me to do it. And it's like, it's crazy because, like I said, in my situation, my house caught fire when all they had to do was come out and clean the vent or remove the top part of the vent so that I can clean it to stop the dust from falling on my lap when I'm in the toilet, on the toilet. So something so simple could have prevented a fire. You know, so it's disturbing. But They just have to do better. They need to get an administration in there to actually care about the people. They need to allow people to do their jobs. I found out every time there's one person who wants to do their job, they disappear, whether they quit or whether they get fired. The Public Housing Authority just needs to be held accountable. Even if we get these funding that we're requesting from the local government, someone has to track it to show that this stuff here is actually being taken care of. They're unable to really have inventory of supplies because every unit is different. They pull stuff from this house, they put stuff here, they put stuff there. Everything is different. So it's like, they need to be uniform. They need to figure out, okay, this is what we're going to use. This is the brand, this is the vendor, this is this. So when people have issues, you're not stuck with, oh, we can't find the part. Oh, it's not available. Oh, it's on back order. Oh, we're going to do this temporary fix. Someone needs to be held accountable for all funding related to maintenance and stuff dealing with the public house. And honestly, they need a clean house and start over. Hire me. I'll do some work.
That's right. We need Ms. Day up in there. And lastly, just, what words will you leave, not only public housing residents, but at this meeting, there are folks who are allies, folks who want to support public housing residents. What words would you give to folks, as we move forward with this fight?
Don't give up. Stand for what you believe in. Remember, it's their job, it's our life.
Wonderful.
As I mentioned, that was Heather Day. She's a resident at Elvins Road. And to me, it'd be great if folks could, in the chat, maybe drop some of the themes that you heard throughout the testimonies, the stories that these wonderful leaders have shared with us. To me, I think the central piece, which inspires me, it inspires our organization collectively to do the work that we do, is to not give up, to keep fighting, right? And that's why we are honored to call the panelists you've just heard members, because when one of them needs a break, we've got, and we're hoping to develop a deeper bench of people who can step up and speak out and really lead this very important fight. So once again, let me thank all of the panelists for sharing their stories. So thank you all so much. Now, with that said, and we want to definitely open this up in just a minute, but I want to ask the panelists two questions, and you can answer if you want. You don't have to, but we certainly love to hear your wisdom on this. But one question that I think is important for folks to know is, what do you feel is at the bottom of all of this? Why is all of this happening? Why are properties being allowed to run down? Why are properties being redeveloped? And please feel free to just jump in, Sean, Detrice, or Linda.
Okay, you said why is this happening?
Mm-hmm.
I think they want to make money, especially like a property like Berry Farms is huge. It's close to the metro. It's close to the highway. It's a good thing. It's close to everything. It's I guess feasible for them. They look at it. It's like a profit. That's what I think it's all about. It's just like money over people.
That's right. Sean or Linda?
I definitely agree with that. Profit over people. Also, the lack of caring, like Ms. Day said, they don't care about the people. They just care about getting their paycheck so they can pay their bills. That's it. If there was an act of caring about their job, there would be a lot more things done to care about the unit. If the landlord actually cared about their properties, there would be a lot more fixing and care to the property. You see what I'm saying? There's a lot of neglect because there's a lot of greed. You know, the greed is out of control. It's immense. It is, you know, I don't know where we went from paying $80 a month rent to paying $6,000 a month rent. You know, I don't know where we went, how we got there, but nobody is addressing that. So I'm trying to figure that out. I'm trying to figure that out myself. Like, where did we go from paying, you could go get an apartment for $80 a month to paying $6,000 a month? And yes, the accessibility to everything, and then yeah, it's just the displacement is out of control. The need for density, I don't know why the need to pack people on top of each other, especially, you know, me being the disaster bereaver, I thought about this. You don't pack people in on top of each other.
That's right. No, and I think what you mentioned, greed. I mean, at the center of it, it is greed. I saw Dr. Carmichael, you know, talk about capitalism. And yeah, I mean, at the bottom of it, and it's more nuanced, of course, but at the end of the day, it's let's make as much green as we can. So thank you for that, Sean. Linda, any thoughts?
I agree with Detrice and Sean, but there's also no accountability. There is no accountability for the way people do things. They aren't held accountable when they're in office. After they get there, it is their own agenda. So people have their own agenda. Not a lot of times what you send them in there for, but they get in there and they do their own thing. And so a lot of that is about money and power and what you can do and get away with, because they have gotten away with so much. And so if no one's held accountable, because the blame is easy, and we do that often, the last administration or that mayor and that, but you see those same policies and positions are still in place. They just look different because there's someone else in there. But that's truly about accountability. If you aren't held accountable for anything, you can get away with anything. And so that's what they've been able to do. Because once they elected, it is their own show. So we don't have the understanding is how to hold them accountable for what they run on. So when you run on stuff, if you aren't doing that, then how to get you out. And we don't do that. So yes, they get away with a lot.
That's right. No, that's right. Thank you for that. I see Mr. Umar has his hand up. Mr. Umar is the president of the Tenant Association at Garfield Terrace. And if I'm not mistaken, the newly elected ANC there. Mr. Bo, did you want to share a thought?
Yes. Thank you, Daniel. I'm enjoying this meeting for one, right? Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
It's most definitely needed, right? But I agree with everything the sisters were saying. Capitalism, accountability, right? And we have to most definitely do the research on who we have in power, like they said, because we look at Tyrone Gard, to be exact. Let's call him by name, right? He is a real estate lawyer. We have to remember that he is a real estate lawyer. So you mean to tell me you have a real estate lawyer over top of housing? So what else do you think his movement is? Seek and destroy by all means necessary. But in the position himself and his buddies. All we have to do is be looking in the papers all this week, all this month. Look at the scandal. I've been posting it all on my site. The latest, the audited name, other people quit. See, we need to hold them accountable for all of that. And that's the bubble that's busting. Because see, I heard somebody say they moving us around like chess pieces. Really, they not. It's checkers. They moving us around like checkers. They jumping us around. We have to be the chess players and put them in check. See, that's the difference. They just jumping us around, and we know this. So, you know, thanks to you, Daniel, what you've been doing, man, we have to put them in check, opposed to just jumping around. Everything we've been seeing on that news is all a boiling point to what needs to be done. Petition them out. It's not you. Who said you can petition the president out of seat? So how easy would it not to be petitioning him out of seat for all the chaos that he's been doing? And his whole administration, from him to Larry Williams down. Look at his wife. She resigned, what, a year ago? For the same thing. Same thing. I mean, you know what? You see it, and I posted all on there. Look, all in the family. Then you got Larry Williams. Then you got this dude with Greg Mays.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's due to history. That's his buddy.
Yeah. No, I think you're right. We've got to do this power analysis, and we got to, you know, hold their feet to the fire, as it were. And I think I'm going to get a shirt made up that says, you know, we got to be the chess players and keep them in check. Maybe that's a new motto. So thank you for that.
Look, let's sit down and talk about it. I got a print machine and everything here.
Wonderful.
Let's sit down and talk about doing something like that. Let's get them back.
Wonderful. And I got one more panelist.
Okay.
Excuse me, one more question for the panelists. But I saw that Miss Mitchell, Tonya Mitchell, has her hand up. Miss Mitchell, do you briefly want to make a statement or ask a question?
Well, I just, because I live in Greenleaf Gardens too, I just wanted to address everything everyone was saying. In so many levels, that's all true. I've been here since 2006. And from 2006, well, for 10 and a half years, I had a neighbor that harassed, not just me, her and her sister jumped my daughter, and my daughter was 15, 130 pounds. And these two women were in their late 40s and 50s at the time. Both of them over 200 and something pounds. And I did everything that I was told to do. Write a letter, call the police, file for an emergency transfer, did all of those things and was denied an emergency transfer. Not only was I denied the emergency transfer, but they continued to allow her to live beside me even after she was arrested for a simple assault on my daughter. After that, that's where a lot of this, the mental stability that Greenleaf causes. After that, she used to damage my truck multiple times. But in the midst of all of that, she was breaking windows, banging on my doors, leaving multiple, just evidence that she's harassing me. They knew of all the times she was calling child protection on me for her own, I guess, revenge or her own reasonings, just to cause problems between her and I. And the first day I moved here, she told me I needed to move quieter. The day I moved in. And prior to that, they hadn't even completed the move-in, where the move-in before I moved in. They didn't finish my floors. They half did the floors, where they painted the floors in 2 bedrooms and just laid the primer down in 2 bedrooms in the bedroom, the hallway, and the stairs, and never came back and redid that. Now, those steps 14 years later have still yet to be finished. And the stairs get so dirty so quickly because it's just primer down. The painting is half. I had a painter come in here last year in July, and they would not let this man do his job. The foreman continued to keep coming over here to get him for something else when he was sent specifically to do the painting. And he couldn't paint until they fixed the drywall.
Wow.
And he didn't want him to do the drywall. He told him, no, you're just supposed to paint. And he said, well, I'm not going to paint unless the drywall is done. And I told Pablo, I said, I will always speak highly of you because you did not do what you see other maintenance and painters do. He did not do a half job. He tried to fix the cracks in the ceiling and everything. He tried to fix those so that they don't come back. And yet, I'm not even a year in. Well, yeah, it's been a year, almost a year. July to be a year. And those cracks have now returned worse than what they were. All of the little big bubbles of paint, all of that has returned. My entire bathroom's wall is chipped paint. The paint is peeling, and it's peeling down years of paint because I can see blue paint, blue, pink, yellow, all these different colors of paint in the bathroom that I never painted this a place.
Ms. Mitchell, thank you. Thank you for sharing that. And I think it underscores that, you know, it's not just the panelists that are saying this, but it's, you know, public housing residents like yourself. I'd love to continue to be in contact with you. I do have your contact information, so we'll follow up. If it's okay, I want to move on to, there's one more person that has their hand up, and I do want to get into a question, but thank you so much for sharing your experience. And we definitely want to be able to connect with you to continue, you know, pushing to help to improve your situation. I saw a hand up by Y. Redrick. I don't, if you want to go ahead.
Yes, I'm here.
Oh, go right ahead. Are you a public housing resident?
Yes, I live in the Kelly Miller Leadroyd Park property.
Oh, wow.
And I've been there for like maybe 8 years. And I moved there from Southwest, from James Creek Dwellings. The problem that I had was, well, it wasn't with James Creek. Someone down there was trying to do some bodily harm to me, and the police found out about it. And they moved me to Kelly Miller Leadroyd Park. And it's been a whirlwind since I moved there. Bullets have come through my window. It's a shooting every week. My daughter doesn't want to go outside because people drive by and they're shooting at the kids on the playground. 12-year-old got shot. I mean, it's multiple shootings every week. And I'm just terrified of where I live. And I've put in the things for moving, and every time they ask me to put in the emergency move, they either send me to Potomac Gardens, or they've tried to send me to Morton Street. They've tried to send me to other housing properties that's a little bit worse than where I live already. And I haven't accepted it. I've taken them to court where I've lost because they said that, oh, she's lying about these things. And I had certain pictures of my house being flooded on a weekly basis, and the mold and the mildew. They sent in a painter. He took down everything and repainted. This was like 2 years ago, but I still suffer with rats in the wall and roaches everywhere. And it's just terrible. And my building looks like a jail cell. You know, they say they're going to move us out of there, but the resident manager is only there maybe on Wednesdays of the week. And Maintenance isn't doing anything right now. It's only for emergencies only. And, you know, I'm having issues in my unit, and I've been there for 8 years, and I've had this issue for 8 years since I've been there. It's an issue. One night I came in the house, it was flooded. I fell into the wall, made a big hole. They said, oh, someone will be there. The hole was there for a year before they decided to come and fix it. I took him to court, and the judge told me and told them that I didn't have to pay them any rent until they fixed my unit. And we put things in escrow. All of a sudden, the escrow stopped. They don't have the papers from the court building. My things got soaking wet in my unit. I had to throw stuff away. So I've misplaced the papers from the court. They say I owe them over $20,000 in rent. And if I owe you over $20,000 in rent, why am I still here? You know, I really am. Right now, I'm in Georgia because I don't know what's going to happen in my unit in DC. I came to visit my daughter in Georgia, and I'm going home on Tuesday. And I just don't know. I really don't know where I'm going from there. They say they're going to move everybody out, but where they're going to move me to? Like James Creek, I had a whole house like upstairs, downstairs, and they told me, oh, well, we're going to move you up there and you're going to have the same thing. But when I got there, they put me in an apartment building where I'm cramped. I have so much stuff that my unit is just cramped. There's stuff everywhere. I have clothes. I have a 15-year-old daughter. You know, so I have clothes here and clothes there, and stuff is packed here and stuff is packed there. My closets are jammed. It's nowhere. And it's just terrible.
Well, thank you, Ms. Redrick, so much for sharing your story. I know we've met before when we've done some outreach there on your property. As I mentioned to the person before, we definitely are taking note of the public housing residents who are speaking up and sharing their stories. And we want to reach out to you, this coming week, just so we're in touch to see how we can provide some relief and, just keep building and pushing together. So thank you so much for sharing your story. And I think I see the hand of Ms. Davida Norris. Ms. Norris, if you want to share either a question or a comment, that would be great. Please go ahead.
Hi, my name is Davida Norris. I've basically been with housing. I've been on the housing list for not since 2009 to 2012, and right now, I am with my fiance who is having a problem with housing because of his window not being fixed. They then came in here and put saran wrap on the window, never came back to fix it. They didn't take measurements. No, none of that. We moved in here since December 5th, and we've been here December 5th, 2017. 2017. And it's not being properly worked on. Like this whole entire efficiency has not been worked on.
Well, as I mentioned, let me give out briefly my number just as a point of contact, and then we can put you in contact, to see how we can help. Just right quick, my number, and we'll put it in the chat as well, but my phone number is 202.
Hold on for a second, let me get a pen.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's not making no sense. Like, they're putting people in housing and none of the properties are being worked on. How you gonna move somebody into a place where it's not being worked on, and y'all just it seems like.
Excuse me, Miss Norris, what property are you at?
I think it's called Bailey's.
Bailey Realty.
Realty Enterprise or something like that.
Yeah, we'll make sure to follow up.
Does your rent go to the DC Housing Authority?
We have no idea. We don't know who is it going to, none of that. And what's your number again?
Yeah, it's 202-731-8634.
Okay.
And yeah, please feel free on Monday to give me a call and we can follow up on that. With that said, I see a couple more hands raised, but I wanted to put up, I wanted to ask one more question of the panelists. So thank you, Ms. Norris, for sharing your story.
Thank you.
And we'll definitely connect. Let's definitely connect. I wanted to, Mr. Lane, I see your hand raised, but if you would allow me to ask this last question of the panelists, and then we can definitely get into some more questions from our audience. I want to ask, because you all are, to me, you are examples of the leadership that we need here in this city, and not only in the fight to keep and preserve public housing, but the greater fight for social justice here in the district. Let me ask you all, what advice would you give to other residents, knowing how difficult it is to engage in these fights, but nonetheless, you all have chosen to say, you know, we're not just going to let it ride like this. We're going to keep fighting. If Sean, Detrice, and Ms. Linda, if you would share with us, you know, what do you think it takes, and what advice would you give to other public housing residents to keep this fight going?
Oh, no doubt. I gotta jump right in on this one. Don't sit idly by and let them treat you any kind of way. You have to just come right in, fist swinging. You gotta step up. I know sometimes it can be daunting and intimidating when they come at you, because I gotta let y'all know straight up, they served me with 5 illegal eviction notices. Count them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I can get the paperwork and show y'all, because it's sitting right over there. 5 illegal notices to try to shut me up, shut me down, intimidate me, and get me to just cower into a corner and cry and just, oh my God, okay, I'm gonna shut up. I ain't gonna fight no more. But you know what? Katy Perry, cue Katy Perry World right about now, okay? If y'all know the lyrics to Katy Perry World, I used to rock, I was scared to rock the boat and make a mess, okay? That was me. I used to sit in the corner, not wanting to do nothing. I went from 0 to being my own hero, okay? My own shero. You understand what I'm saying? When, yes, I'll cry, but the minute I get pissed off, I'm throwing dukes, you hear me? I'm coming out swinging. I'm calling Daniel, I'm calling the lawyers, I'm calling the press, I'm getting I'm putting petitions out, I'm putting the protest together. I don't give a flying hootenette and flick of fingers. Sean coming to bat. If you want me to come to bat, call me. 202-733-1059, 202-549-0439. I got so many numbers. 202, what's the other one? 759, what's it, what's the other one, Daniel? The 9841. And yeah, all 3 of them numbers, call me. I'm gonna come swinging. Don't let them treat you any kind of way. Speak up, because if you don't speak up, they're gonna keep oppressing you. Oppression leads, the stress leads to oppression. The oppression leads to depression. You understand what I'm saying? And it only keeps getting worse.
That's right. Detrice or Linda, and thank you for that. You want Sean on your team. I do not say that lightly. And the question was just, what would you suggest, urge other residents to do if they are faced in similar situations that you find yourself in?
Okay, yeah, I was waiting on Linda. But man, just real quick, I agree with Sean, and but just also, yeah, just staying positive and not being afraid. Definitely don't worry about intimidation. Yeah, don't, it's all this naysayers out there to say that they may attack you, they may put you out. It's not true. They can't just put you out for fighting, standing up for your community. So just being very positive and just not letting your foot off their necks. That is very important. Being in these meetings, they have been having meetings for years at city councils, speaking up, just speaking in and talking with your neighbors and, getting people to come out with you and talk and speak about your issues. Don't be afraid to actually things start working in your favor when you do this.
Thank you for that, Detrice. And let me just shout out Ms. White, Ms. Vanita White. I see you in the chat. Thank you for joining us. Go ahead, Linda.
I would just like to say, just remember, this is your life. You get up in the morning, you live it every day. No one tells you what your life is like. You live it every day. And you get to decide what is acceptable to you and what's not. And so those things that you have to remember is that you have to fight whatever fight you can, where you can, how you can. And that's, no one can ask any more of you than you ask of yourself. And all I ask you is to remember, it's your life. You live it every day. And you get to tell people what is acceptable to you in your life and what's not. I didn't ask you. I'm telling you. I didn't ask you. I'm telling you. So that's the way I feel about this. It's you. You live it every single day. You know exactly what your struggle is, what your limitations are. So you have to be your own advocate or shero, as Sean said. Nobody's going to do that for you. And right now, I just said there is so much talk. You've got to be in action, your action, whatever action you want to take, that's acceptable.
That's exactly right. Well, thank you so much, Linda, Sean, and Detrice for those wise words. We really do appreciate that. We want to move on to some action steps, but Mr. Lane, if you want to briefly, give us your question or statement, please go right ahead.
Yes, thank you, Daniel, and thank you to the women that are strong and that are fighting. I've seen some of you before in various presenting before, I've seen Linda before. I've certainly seen Detrice before fighting. I'm loving Sean. Sean just got me worked up right now. And of course, I know many people on this call, Brother Bo, Brother Wallace, Brother Reggie Black, and many others, Daniel. And this is not something that is new. This is old. It's been like this for a minute, more than a minute. And it just shows you the hypocrisy of this city when they talk about race equity and all that other BS they be talking about. They do not care for workers. They do not care for Black and brown people. I mean, the work that I'm doing with the Black Coalition Against COVID, we are finding out stuff about how they have neglected communities. They're not even testing in all communities. Me and Bo, I had to go and get a private company to test over at Garfield Terrace. Bo know what I'm talking about, because the city didn't do it. Because DC Housing Authority didn't do it. And I'm just, it just gets under my skin. Wallace know what I'm talking about. And so my question, Daniel, is, they play the game of divide and conquer. That's how they play the game. They try to divide you against your neighbor, divide you against yourself, and then they intimidate. They try intimidation tactics. So you got Linda over here, you got Sean over here, you got Davida over here, you got people over there, and they're all in separate and different places. And they divide and conquer. So my question, Daniel, and maybe you know this more than I do, and that is, some of this stuff the Attorney General's office tried to tackle, some of it, but not all of it. is there a group of attorneys, and I know Meg McGuire's on this call, I know Ann Hoffman's on this call. Is there a group of attorneys that are in one place, like a committee of attorneys that can fight on behalf of residents in all of these places? Is there a group like that in DC? Because I haven't heard of one, and I might have missed it. Reggie, I know you would know. Is there a group of attorneys? Because you have, you know, when you talk about early child education, there's a group of attorneys that fight on behalf of children. Okay. So is there a group of attorneys that fight on behalf of residents? Not just Ari. I mean, we're not just talking about Ari. Ari, we all know Ari, okay, Aristotle. But you know, are there others? He's a private attorney. I'm saying, is there a law firm, a group of attorneys that will fight? And if you know this, please let us know. If not, can that be organized?
Yeah, well, thank you for that question and for your statement, Brother Lane. You know, there is a group of advocates, legal advocates that come together on a regular basis to, you know, to see what's happening around that. I think, you know, capacity is an issue, but I think that's what we need to grow. And I think that's a great point. You know, if we have folks that are lawyers here on the call that are willing to help, to lend their talents, I think we need to explore that more because, you know, there is a great need. So the more folks that we can bring together that have that expertise and couple that with the organizing, of course, is important. So thank you for that point. I think that's, you know, something.
Daniel, you know, I saw in the chat about HU and some of the Washington, the committee. They're not. They will sometimes defend an individual case. That much I know. That's not what I'm talking about.
No, I hear you. Yeah,
I'm talking about who's going to sue
exactly.
housing authority.
No, I hear you.
Sue the city.
Yeah. No, I think that's why we need to grow that. We need to grow that. And I think that's a great point. With that said, you know, I want to make sure to be respectful of time, and I want to make sure that we get to this. As I had mentioned in the beginning, you know, we are in the budget season, and while there are many avenues that we have to fight on and push on, one of the key things that we have to do at this point in time is to ensure that our local government continues their commitment to investing local dollars in public housing repairs. So let me just share this right quick on a couple of steps that we can take in the immediate. And then, of course, we have to make sure that we are, let me just go through this right quick. Excuse me. That we are organizing to attack on the other points that have been brought up here throughout the meeting. So right now, you can take a couple of steps in order to help out, and that is, and we'll drop this link in the chat. You can take a very simple action step and tweet or email the mayor, urging her to include public housing repair funding in her budget. We have set up an action that you can click on the link that we'll drop in the chat for you to take action, and that'll send a message to her, just letting her know, you know, that we need that help. As folks may know, the budget season has changed tremendously this year because there's supposed to be this, you know, federal influx of money. We'll see how that goes. That's a whole other meeting. But because of that, the budget timeline has changed. Initially, we had heard that the hearing for DCHA would be on May 11th. We are now hearing that will change. As soon as we get a firm date and time, we'll make sure to update not only the folks in this meeting, but our whole network. But registering to give testimony as a public housing resident, as a supporter, as a, you know, somebody that supports improving public housing through funding for repairs would be really important. You can contact us to help get registered. You can go to the DC Council's website to get registered, but we can certainly help with that. You can submit written testimony. You can send an email to housing@dccouncil.us. We will send you all of this information too in a follow-up email on Monday. So if you do not get this this afternoon, we'll make sure to send it to everyone who registered and that we see on the call. But that's, you know, a simple way. Write up why you as a public housing resident feel that it's important to fund public housing repairs, or as a supporter, right? You can call in and leave voicemail testimony. The number is right there, 202-350-0894. You get 3 minutes on that voicemail to leave a voicemail saying why it's so important. Once again, we're asking for 60 million a year in reoccurring funds, right? Every year we need to ensure that there is funding for public housing, not just 1 year or half funding for the next year. We need committed funding every year. And, you know, organizations such as ours, EmpowerDC, can certainly help, you know, folks get registered, prepare for your testimony, answer any questions, concerns you may have. You know, and with that said, I do want to, let me put Detrice on the spot, please, to just talk a little bit about why it's important to join an organization like EmpowerDC. Why, Detrice, can you share with folks, why is it important to be part of an organization like EmpowerDC that's doing this work? Is Detrice with us? Oh, I think she may have, I don't know. She's not here right now. Sean or Linda, you want to give us a pitch on membership to an organization like EmpowerDC?
Well, I have enjoyed my membership there because number one, it's empowering. The support, the backbone of the membership, you know, the group, you know, it's always there. You know what I'm saying? You know, having that voice of the people pushing to keep our housing is important. You know what I'm saying? So we need more members to strengthen that voice. It's always important to have a group like this to get the numbers up. So we need you all to strengthen our numbers. So come on and join up. Get on out there. Speak highly of Empower. You know what I'm saying? And tell others, you know, because it's not just the few of us, you know, that makes this important. It's all of us. You know, 5 of us can sing a tune, but when the choir sings the melody, we're heard better. You dig what I'm saying? So help us sing the melody where the city can hear us clearly.
That's right. Thank you. And Linda, did you want to add anything?
Yeah, there's power in numbers. And so the organization, you have the numbers to back you up. You also have knowledge, the knowledge with how to apply it. So you learning and how to apply it in your living. So as you go on, you're making those steps to be able to fight in a language, because sometimes it's hard to fight because they're speaking another language and you think you're communicating, but you're not, because they're speaking in another language. And so it's good to understand the language. When you understand the language, you speak their language, then you have made another stride, because a lot of times communication is the key here, and we have to speak a language, and other people speak different language. So when you learn the language, you speak it and they hear you clearly. So when you speak the language that they speak, then you have made, and so that numbers, being in numbers and learning and being with EmpowerDC has given me the tools to speak the language. Because a lot of times, like I said, I thought I was communicating well, But if I'm not speaking their language, then they don't hear me. And I need for them to hear me and see me in their language, because I know mine, but I want them to hear me and see me in their language. So yes, that's why it's been important to me and powerful to me to be with EmpowerDC, to learn the language.
That's right. And just so folks know, I did drop the link to our website, empowerdc.org, in the chat. You can become a member through there. Membership is only $10 a year. And if that is, a financial burden or not easy, we can waive that membership. What we need to know is that, as Sean and Linda have said, we need numbers. We need people on our side to have that people power, organized people, fighting for this. So thank you both for that. For public housing residents, we meet every first Wednesday of the month, just to get ourselves organized, to know what's happening, to prepare for the month. Every second Wednesday of the month, there's the DC Housing Authority's Board of Commissioners meeting, which is a great place to hold them accountable, to raise up these issues, to create a public record of what you are experiencing and what you're seeing, not only for yourself, but on your property and your neighbors. So that's what we try to do in those meetings. And in general, we want to make sure that we are connecting with people who are like-minded, that believe that, or know that we need to preserve and improve public housing. So, we will continue to do this work. We are getting ourselves through the budget season and right now. But as we move forward, there is this transformation plan that's afoot, that we know we need to organize, and we can learn many lessons from Sean, from Detrice, from Linda, who are going through it, and many other folks are going to go through it. We need to get organized. We need to get equity out of these programs, like Sean and Detrice have led on their properties, are leading on their properties. Actually being a part, getting a piece of that pie is important to build equity, to help folks move out, if that's what they want to do. But certainly folks who want to stay in public housing is the only affordable housing in the city. So why should folks move out? We need to hold on to that. So thank you all for raising that up. Samer, if you would drop, please. We've got some other ways we want to survey folks in how they can help. There's a link that we will put in the chat to help. And we're also going to send all of this, kind of a recap of what we've talked about and how you can get involved. You'll receive an email from us on Monday, keeping you plugged into how you can help, how you can support, how you can become a member, any questions that you may have. And as I mentioned, we're certainly going to follow up with those folks that mentioned some of your individual issues that are all part of the bigger problem that we've been discussing today. So if you could take a second and get into that link and fill that out, we'd really be thankful for that. We've got about 5 minutes left. I see one hand up, Mr. Kendrick. If you want to give us your question or statement as folks are going to the link to fill out these forms, that would be great. Go right ahead, Kendrick.
Hey, thanks, Daniel. I appreciate it. Let me lower my hand as I talk and just try to be as brief as I possibly can. One of the things that I noticed in this, because you covered pretty much everything. I think in public housing, you really need a social strategy or organizing strategy that I think EmpowerDC does very well. You need a political strategy in regards to what you were talking about in regards to the mayor. But I think there's also a piece there that's also important to reach out to other council members, because I think it's very clear that Councilmember Bonds is very happy with the way that Director Garrett is running. So you're not really going to have a sympathetic ear in that regards. But there are other council members who have in fact voted to take back over control of the housing authority. And I think that is something that if individuals are not happy with the way that it's currently being ran, there is legislation that has been put out and introduced by Brianne Nadeau. It got a weird amount of support from individuals I didn't expect. People like Jack Evans signed off on it. So like Jack Evans signed off on it, you know that's wild. But then I think the third part is the legal strategy that you had mentioned as well. And that legal strategy, you know, really comes, you know, there's people who can do it out of the kindness of their hearts. But I know at the end of the day, having worked in public housing, individuals that live in public housing don't want charity and don't want to be felt like they're being given any type of charity. So I'm always about self-empowerment. I know at Garfield, we've helped them establish their 501c3. We've gotten vending machines in there. We've taken over their laundry machines, all of these things, because that $25 per unit per year ain't enough to build some type of sustainability and capacity for residents to be able to get off the ground and do what they need to do to hold truth to power. And I want to close with that because there may be some residents on this call even that are like, man, I just need that capacity to really help me get off the ground. How do they know how to get their resident participation funds? I know Garfield hasn't received resident participation funds since 2017. Now, if you just take that one building and you multiply it times 43, we're talking potentially millions of dollars that they owe these residents that's a class action number at that point. So really being able to say, hey, listen, do you have your board established? What can we do at Garfield? Can we have a quick call to say, listen, this is how you set up a special election. This is how you get access to those funds. This is how you do that. And then from that perspective, then the individuals are empowering themselves so that when you, Daniel, are like, hey, listen, we need the 60 million, we could be either at those meetings and say, Falchicchio, you keep giving 15, 20 million every meeting from DEMPED to help a development with this and help a development of that. Now I have 15, 20 resident council presidents behind me that are submitting this legislation. You know what, let's just take control back from this being an independent authority. Receivership is so long ago, and put it back in where the council and the mayor, we can hold them accountable, because holding people like Tyrone Garrett and Neil Albert accountable is proven to be fruitless at this point. And I think we're at a juncture as a community and as a city where the public housing community deserves a lot better. And if we can hold the mayor accountable, and that can be something that can put her on the hot seat so that if she's running unopposed every single year, there may be candidates who say, listen, I'm running on behalf of public housing. I can run against you and beat you because you're not good in these areas. That's what the city deserves. The city deserves a competitive race from mayor all the way down to ANC. They deserve that. And I think public housing is a great opportunity. So like I said, I commend you for the work. I don't want to take over too much of the time that's left over, but that empowerment of those resident councils to be able to pull down those funds and collectivize to be able to hold them accountable, I'm quite certain it's around $1 million. Pretty sure.
No,
Garfield
right.
alone is about 30. So,
That's right. That's right. Well, thank you, Brother Kendrick. We really appreciate that. And let's make sure we connect. I'm gonna reach out in the coming week. But once again, I want to thank everyone, maybe by a show of hands, thumbs up. Was this helpful? Did this help, in getting us clear on kind of what we have to do and what folks are experiencing? All right, good. Well, thank you all for partaking. I'd be remiss if I didn't once again thank these amazing leaders that continue to step up. So let's give a huge round of applause. Let's all unmute and listen to the applause for Sean Hyde, Latrice Belt, Linda Brown, and Heather Day. Who's not here with us. I'm honored to play the role of supporting this work, and just blown away that so many people
And I
joined
want to
us.
thank EmpowerDC and all of my lawyers and everybody for all the support that they've given, and my fellow resident council presidents as well, because it has not been easy. And like I told y'all, these are the 5 illegal eviction notices. So yeah, thank y'all
That's right.
for all of the support and everything that y'all have been giving me and my residents in this fight, and it's going to keep going. because I'm not giving up.
That's right.
Don't y'all give up either.
That's right. Any last words, Linda or Detrice?
No, just all I can say is just take care of yourself in the process.
That's right.
Listen to yourself, take care of yourself. This is not, as we all know, a sprint. This is definitely a marathon. And we've been doing it for years. So in the meantime, listen to your body and take care of yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just want to thank everyone for taking time out on this Saturday to come hear us on the panel. Thank EmpowerDC for putting this together. As always, if it wasn't for them, I don't know, I wouldn't be doing this. So I wouldn't know where to start. So I'm so happy to meet and have built relationships with Linda and Sean and meeting other residents it doesn't just feel like it's just me going through these things. So that's very helpful. And I'm just glad we were all here together on this panel and able to speak. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, once again,
and thank you, Daniel. Sorry,
thank
you, Daniel.
No, hey, I am your humble servant.
Everything.
I just start the Zoom. I let y'all do the work because you all are the real leaders here. So thank you all for the work that you're doing. Everybody else, I mean, you know, we got quite a deep bench here that I'm noticing in the, now that I've stopped sharing, I can see the names and everybody. You know, we can get a lot accomplished, and let's just continue working together. We'll definitely, as I mentioned, follow up with all the links and the action stuff. But yeah, let's just keep building. Let's keep getting stronger. And, you know, as Parisa, who some of y'all will be joining soon because there's a comp plan meeting right after this, you know, let's deliver that political consequence. Let's make them know that, you know, we're organized and we got people power. So thank you all. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. We will be in contact individually, but also with, you know, all the information that we spoke of today. So thank you all. Have a great Saturday, and thank you.
You too. Thanks.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.